Okay, I'm gonna call this special meeting of the Township Trustees to order. First order of business is pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. This has been our commitment to try to do a better job of communicating. Normally in a construction project such as this, a development project, we would have done a pre-con meeting early on and had an informational meeting scheduled, that kind of thing. And so we've been behind the eight ball a little bit on this one. I know I walked the street the other day and left a bunch of business cards. I know that Brandon has done the same and Maury Safco has done the same. And so staff has done a much better job of trying to get pushing things out in regards to the project. So we want to hear if there are other things that you want this evening in regards to communication and information. But tonight is an opportunity for Bob Webb and the team here, Bob Webb, to tell you a little bit about the project, give you a little more information about timelines, listen to your concerns again. And if you have something that you want to bring up, you can obviously ask questions of them based upon that presentation. If you have something that you'd like to talk about, we do have a speaking process. You get 3 minutes. We're very flexible on the 3 minutes. So pretty much if you have new information you'd like to bring forward, new questions, we want to hear that. So we're here this evening for you to answer your questions. But I'm going to let Brandon Belli go ahead and introduce his guest with him this evening, and then go ahead and do your presentation. We'll kind of take it from there, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'm sorry, before you start, just a little housekeeping. If you came in and didn't sign in, if you could, please, there's a signature and pen right there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, and one other thing, I'm glad you thought housekeeping. And so I just want to make sure that the board introduces themselves so they know who they're all Board of Trustees and fiscal officers. So if you want to go ahead and.
Sure. Michelle Elliott. I live over in Brookside Estates off of McVeigh West. I'm fiscal officer.
I'm Jim Roper. I'm one of the trustees and I live in Worthington Hills.
Andy English, Worthington Hills, and chair for 2025.
And Chet Cheney, Township Trustee. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brandon and go ahead if you would introduce.
Sure.
Well.
No, thank you, Chad. Yes, my name is Brandon Belli. Becky Webb, the owner, Bob Webb is here with us this evening as well. And we want to thank Chad for putting this together, and we're certainly here to hopefully answer all of your questions and just give you a brief presentation of what is going on, what is coming, and what the overall project is going to be. We got this project approved many years ago, and took us a little while to get to this point, but it's 22 approved lots that we'll be building on. So there'll be 22 total houses at the end of the street. It is a private street. The section that we'll be putting in is a private street. We're super excited to finally be at this point. They are going to be beautiful homes that will all be custom. There's a lot of different contours, a lot of different shapes of the building pads. So every house will be customized with architects to fit within those boundaries, and then certainly satisfy the potential customer that we'll be working with. As far as what that process and how those houses will all be different, based off of the customer and fitting on the lot architecturally. Right now, Savco has been out there working. They're putting all the utilities in, doing all of what we call the site prep, site work, sewer, water, storm, all of that kind of work, grading. the last thing they'll be doing, which we expect to be sort of right around maybe the end of October, probably 1st of November, is the pavement of the road. And at that point, all the big heavy lifting as far as the site work goes will be complete. You'll see very few trucks, construction trucks, that have anything to do with moving big dirt and putting concrete and roads in for the site work at that point. After that, we'll be going through approvals through the county and the city to be able to pull building permits to actually build homes. And I would love to tell you, we'll build these homes in a couple of years. It all depends on the market and, what the market looks like as far as customers coming to us and us working with them. But our hope is we will be through it in 2 to 3 years, as far as, building the 22 homes and having those up and people living in them. They're going to be beautiful homes. We venture to guess these are going to be starting at over $1 million is where they'll start from. I think they're going to be a great accent to the area, that we're putting it in there. I think that's sort of the gist of it. So right now, some more work. I will say, I did get an update from Savco today. And as far as anything else on Greenvale, they should not have any more disruption as far as digging or, cutting of the roads at this point. There will be a period here, and they said it'll either be in a week to 3 weeks, where in conjunction with the city of Columbus, they will be putting notices on everyone's doors along Greenvale, where water service will have to be disrupted for about a 4-hour period, where they do all the final tie-ins. So they've done all the excavation, everything they need to do, but the final tie-in and approval that'll be overseen from the city of Columbus for the water, that'll happen. But that should be the only disruption as far as any utility goes going forward for any of the folks on Greenvale. And other than fixing the roads where they were cut for the water lines in front of mainly in front of the Clicks residence there, those will obviously get patched when all the work's done and our road gets put in. That'll be taken care of at that time.
Just, can you talk a little bit about the sewer and the water and providing that, where that's running and
Sure.
that thing?
Yep. So we have a private sewer system on site that is being pumped along the golf course, and it does tie into the city of Columbus. It's all been approved through the city of Columbus. They have approved the tie-in to where we've tied into their manhole at the far end of Greenvale from our project there. But yeah, it's a private sewer system that pumps up. I know there's been a couple folks that have asked about tying into it, and unfortunately, the way that's set up with the pump, we would love to do it because then maybe we could recapture some of our cost in it. We would have been all for it, but it's just not something that the city will allow or anything that will work as far as being able to tie into that. And then the water is City of Columbus. We've tied in right in front of the Click residence there to bring the water to our site there. That's all been calculated and run through with the engineers. The City of Columbus, we actually have to build a pump house for the fire hydrants, just to make sure the fire hydrants, God forbid they ever have to be used, have enough pressure. And that's all in the approved plans that we'll have to construct.
Police are obviously Perry Township Police and Fire and EMS is Worthington, which will be renegotiating that contract. And Brandon, I think there was another question that had to do with making sure there was a hanging electrical telephone line somewhere along the Greenvale maybe got addressed.
Yeah, it did get addressed. It is still hanging. I don't know if, and I forget the name of, the husband and wife that, we communicated with there, but
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
sure.
Thank
Yeah. So yeah, there was a line that was taken down. It was unfortunately hanging lower than what was code. And the utility companies came out and repaired all the active lines to make sure everyone was back up and running. I believe that same day. There was one, low voltage line that was left down. We believe it's a dead line. We do not believe it serves or does anything. The utility company would not respond. From everything we've been told, it's Breeze Communications. Got no response from them. We sent our crew out to go ahead and coil the wire up, and it is attached to the pole at this point. And we have said, if no one has lost any service at this point, we don't hear anything, we're fine going back and snipping it, what's just rolled up there. Because again, it's not tied into anything, and I get it's a bit of an eyesore, and we're happy to do that. But that's what happened when we first got started out there. One of the machines hit it, and unfortunately, it was because the wire wasn't at the appropriate height that it's supposed to be per code.
Mr. Chairman, you want to open it up for questions?
Yeah, we'll open it up for questions. Anybody else, have anything that they want to add or input?
I can start. I got a list. I know almost everybody here. I'm kind of dressed today. I'm normally in shorts, so you kind of relate with you that one. I'd just like to thank the board for having this meeting. I think this is very important, not only for the board, but for the community to all get on the same page. This is a huge project. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when. I think we were all very surprised and shocked when it started. And the reason why I say surprised and shocked when it started is because in the span of 1 week, we went from a quiet, bucolic, dead end to being trucks going back and forth, not knowing what's going on, and then to have it be completely clear cut. Now, Brandon, you made mention of that it's going to be a private street. What does that exactly mean? Does that mean that me as a resident of Greenvale or Brookside Estates, I can't walk on that street because there's going to be a gate there? Or what does that exactly mean that it's private?
So private means we will be, the association will be taking care of the street. It will not be a burden on the township. We will remove snow on it. If there's maintenance on it, there'll be a reserve fund set up through the association. So it is no burden on the township or any other residents outside of those 22 homes that are in there.
Gotcha. So it's not going to be a gated community.
So the plan is to have a gate there. We're working with the township to put a gate there for that, and that's a process we need to go through. We're certainly not those folks. We love people going to our neighborhoods. We really do. We love having people look at our homes, walk through our homes.
Right.
That's what we're in the business for, and then we love showing them off. So we would never tell someone you cannot walk through our neighborhood. I will tell you, eventually, we won't be in control, and it will be handed over to the 22 residents in that association. They'll have members, typically 3, that will then, have their own meetings. And if they decide to put up no trespassing and I can't speak for that.
Right. The only reason why I'm talking about a gated community, because currently right now in Perry Township, there are no gated communities. And it's my understanding that since there's only one entrance in and one entrance out, that it can't be a gated community because of that, only one way in and one way out. The other thing is if I'm gonna be on Greenvale Drive, which I am, for the next 3 years, next 4 years, God willing, I'm gonna have to survive all the construction that's going on, and then I don't get the benefit of being able to walk down to the end of the block and walk around. Now, it's very important for my family to walk. It's not a ritual, it's a lifestyle. And that's what we do. And that's why I know most everybody in this room and everything else. So if it's gonna be a gated community, I think that's something that's gonna have to be brought up to the board, and something that's gonna have to be voted upon, not only by the 200-foot radius of people that are close to that community, but everyone that would be affected by it. would need to vote on it. That's just my feeling. I don't know if somebody may have another feeling
So
about that.
that is not right in the development plan as we speak today.
Right,
That's why I'm gonna have Andy speak to this, anticipated this question. There is a process that they would go through for such a request to modify that development plan. It will not be a vote of the community. We don't, the zoning is not that way. We have
Okay.
zoning boards and boards hear cases, and those are members of the community that serve on those zoning boards. And they will take all those facts and information into account, and then they will go ahead and take action, but I'll let Andy talk a little more specific.
Yeah, so the development that was created, if you look at our zoning code, you'll have standard zoning districts, R2, R4, and they just kind of generally outline what you can and what you can't do if you fall within that zoning area. For this project, it's what they call a PUD, which is a planned unit development. So it is zoning code specifically developed, and we work with Brandon, and we work with an attorney and that. So as they were kind of developing this, we developed a zoning code that is specific for this property that outlines how many lots you can have, how to use it. Anything that gets added or subtracted from this has to be what they call modified the plan. So like Brandon said, he would need to work with the township in order to, if in a private gate would be a change. So therefore they would have to work with us. There are things that trigger, and it's in the PUD test, and I'd have to, but there are things that trigger a staff approval, and there are things that trigger that it would have to come back in front of the board. So we just would have to determine those things that change, and there will be things that change. It's inevitable. Every project, every land development project I've been part of, there is always changes. So we know that. But what we did with the PUD task is develop it because it was good for the township because we were able to control what was going to go. And it's also good for the developer because the developer is able to do things that probably wouldn't be unable to be done under our typical for the better. And that's the reason why you do PUD tax. So.
if, when the board gets to that point, I hope they take into consideration what,
Yeah, and all of those things. So when they say gate, we want to know how's it gonna be accessed? How, the fire department's gonna have a say at it, like, do they have an issue with it?
right,
So we're gonna kind of do our due diligence to say it's not just, hey, we want to do this, can we do it? It's no, we're gonna be doing our fact finding to make sure that we're not putting, people at risk. How is it open? What's it look like? That sort of thing.
fair enough.
So,
Andy, is that through the zoning board meetings? Or
yeah,
is
it
that
would
through
be,
standard?
I believe it's through the BZA that any kind of request would have to go through that,
So
but the
then all
PUD.
of those would be public meetings
Yeah,
as well, that would be.
Yeah, but again, some are gonna be staff, but we have to read it, we have to read the text as to what we identified as staff approval versus what things have to go back through the BZA.
Okay, I continue on my list. The next one is the parking issue. We originally started off by doing a blanket, no parking on Greenvale and on Danbury, 24 hours a day until the length of the project, which then got revised to 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, and part of Saturday, which then got revised to 7 to 6, Monday through Friday, which then the storm came in this past week, and all the signs except for one is still up. So what's the hours of no parking on Greenvale and on Danbury? That's the first question.
7 to 6.
7 to 6. The second question is what is the hours of construction that's allowed at the site?
7 to 7.
7 to 7. If we hear construction occurring before 7, backing up of vehicles, beeping,
Yep.
louder than the zoning resolution 52502, page 105, that says about the sound before 7 AM, who do we contact to make sure that that doesn't happen?
I believe that'd be Bob, site foreman. Or you can call me. You can call
Okay.
me as well.
If we need to contact Bob, is there a way for someone to contact him from the block as opposed to having to wait to talk to somebody at Perry Township?
I'm up at 4:30. I think you have my phone number.
I
You
do.
and I have
I
communicated.
do.
If you're hearing it early, you call me. I'll get a hold of somebody.
Okay, because if it's occurring before 7 AM, now I don't mind vehicles, worker vehicles going down at 5:45, 6:15, 6:30. I don't mind them going down to the end of the block. I mind when I hear beeping and I hear the sound of construction vehicles before 7. So do we have assurances from Brandon and your team that there won't be any construction starting before 7 AM?
I will certainly reach out to Savco yet this evening when I leave here. Let them know that there can be no noise until 7 PM.
And their backup alarms
And that-
will exceed that
And that's even backing up
to code.
down the road.
It's well over 100. Well over.
I
At
don't know.
6:45 in the morning. I use as my alarm now.
Well, at least everybody knows for the record that it's 7 AM before the beeping should start.
Right.
And if we hear it before 7 AM, we can alert
Let me know. And
Alert
I'll
John.
be glad to.
let John know. And then are we following what's in the rules that says the first offense is X amount, the second offense is X amount, the third offense is 250? Or is that not being followed? Because that's
I
the
believe they're talking about
That's
Yeah.
the noise word.
that's a noise ordinance relative to,
relative to anything that's related to lawn mowing, construction, house addition, it's all on the website because it was just posted
Yeah.
in the past week
Yep.
and a half.
so that's resolution that has just been passed.
That's right.
Yeah,
So I would say that if we get complaints and we have to go out there, our zoning folks will cite them
Okay,
accordingly and we'll move forward. I can tell you that Mr. Savco, if you bring it to Mr. Savco's attention, he is gonna play by the rules.
fair enough.
They're generally down there at that hour of the morning, probably warming up their diesel engines. And they move something. I haven't been there since.
And they can't do that at six
And
forty-five.
I know him personally. He does not play by the rules.
Okay,
Well.
Okay, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
so it's 7 AM, we're all in agreement on that, we all have that in the minute notes,
We all-
7 AM.
Well, and I think, forgive me for interrupting, I do think that we posted that information on the page of our website. too,
Yes.
To make sure everything was clear.
Yes, you did.
So absolutely, if outside of this, if you need to double check that, that's there.
Okay, or the no parking sign is gonna go back up?
Yeah, we'll get those back up. I mean, it's just, the weather hasn't been conducive to do that, but
Yeah.
they'll go back up same time frames.
That's perfect. And just to say that I'm not complaining about everything because you did address the issue of putting a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on the street so that everyone could know that that's what the thing is. And I do have to say there is more police presence and there is respect from a lot of the drivers of going slower, especially when there are people on the road and there are pedestrians and there's everything else. So I do want to recognize that you've made attempts, everyone has made attempts to address those situations. The other question that I have, which I have a whole bunch, is about the
So
low.
not to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can you go through a couple more questions and then we'll kind of work around, come back to you? and then
Absolutely.
We'll work around the circle so that, okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. The low hanging electricity wires, both on 161 and on Greenfield. Shouldn't have that been someone's responsibility before the project began to make sure that everything was tucked high enough so that all the trucks could get on in and everything could be okay?
Okay,
I know that's saying that after the fact.
right. I understand.
but
To be honest with you, I was unaware of it until actually Marty Sacco brought it to my attention. And I said, fine, let me call the Department of Commerce. We expedited it up. It was a Spectrum line. We first thought it was an AT&T line. We had AT&T out there. They said, no, it's not our line, it's a Spectrum line. So we had Spectrum out there. I got calls from 4 different engineers at Spectrum saying, we're gonna do X, Y, and they did. I mean,
Yeah.
they tightened it up.
No, you guys
And so-
addressed it.
We were unaware of it. Honestly, that's my responsibility. I apologize, but once we did become aware of it, we addressed it
Okay.
as quickly as we could.
Because the line that's still on Danbury at 161 is still low. And trucks have gone through there, and I showed it to John, where they had to push the wire over the truck in order to get the truck
Yeah.
underneath.
I can only get them to push, they're only required to push it so high.
Right,
So,
so that goes back to when we originally thought about this project and we thought about the amount of construction vehicles that were gonna come through, did we take into consideration that a huge gigantic flatbed truck with a bulldozer on is gonna come around a radius very close to both houses and mailboxes and be able to make it? Because that's been a big sticking point for a lot of people that are on the corner of Greenvale and on Danbury there, that getting around that turn with those big equipment is really, really difficult. Now, I know there was a survey that was done to make sure that the fire engines could go down and that they could get around and that the radius was enough and everything else. But with a fire engine with a hook and ladder, the back of the hook and ladder has a steering wheel. The back of a flatbed truck doesn't have a steering wheel, and they have to go back and forth in order to do that.
Understand.
Now, I'm sure Cheryl could talk to other things because she's brought up a lot of things about what's happened on her corner, but I wanted to bring that up as well. I'll go with one last thing before I stop. Originally, there was a tree preservation plan for the plot. And on that tree preservation plan, it had certain trees that were designated to go away due to the road that was gonna be put in and due to the sewer. Everything got leveled. What happened to that tree preservation plan that was originally in the original documents that said only the ones that were going around the road were gonna be knocked out, as opposed to being everything to be bombed?
So everything around the road got cleared, about 20 foot beside the road got cleared because that is where all the sewer and water and everything is run.
Right,
There are 4 lots in the middle, so the road is sort of a circle. There's 4 lots in the middle. Could not save any trees there between putting utilities in that area and then eventually building a house. I mean, there's just, there were no trees that could be saved there. And we've saved all the rest of the trees. I mean, we've only went roughly 20 foot off, except where we had to run our sewer for
Right.
the pit.
yep,
And then there's a driveway for what is, we call lot 14, that we had to put a, culvert and some head walls in for that driveway. And
Right.
so that, you know, just for the driveway had to be cleared.
No,
Other than
I-
that, we have saved, and I will tell you, as we design homes and put homes on there, we will walk with those customers.
yeah,
They know and they all want to save as many trees, but there will be more trees that come down once we design a house and it sits on the area, you know, obviously anything in that footprint. And typically anything 20 foot around it has to be taken out because unfortunately, they'll die anyways.
right. But on the tree preservation plan that's on the website, it had that only the ones who are gonna go around the road, and it designated, I actually have a printout of it, of which ones were going, and it didn't designate which ones were not going. So to me, it looked like they wiped out a lot more than needed to be wiped out. And also, it said that at least 20% of what the property was gonna remain the same. Now, does that 20% also include the holding pond in the back? Or does that include everything else that's around it? Because to me, in the span of 1 week, it went from, okay, there's grass and there's trees back into there, into that it's just the dust bowl in the span of 1 week.
Right, currently, obviously, yes, with all the site work. and
Right,
It's gonna be dusty until obviously we get homes and landscaping inside and all that beautiful
Right.
stuff around there, but. Yeah, we have only cleared around the give or take 20 feet. We had the surveyors come out and state clearing limits onto what that is and kept all the trees on this side of the clearing limits and then everything on the street side. We did have to clear to get the utilities, get the streets in.
yeah, it just doesn't seem to be consistent with what was on the website.
Well, the other thing about it is the front half of that site, even though there looks like there's a lot of trees, they're bigger trees with and you're looking at the canopy. So at the beginning, at the front part of that site is not, it's a little more open, so visually. But as you kind of go to the back end of that site, I think that becomes a little more critical in terms of, you know, the roadway and selective cutting on that. So it might be apparent because it is deceiving when you look at the plan, but you're looking at the canopy, so it looks a lot more wooded than what it actually is. So,
Okay. I'll let anybody else speak and then I got more at the end if anybody wants me to go.
So I have a couple questions just to kind of, so quick question, the parking on, you told me that I could park on that street. And you said that the parking, no parking was more for the construction people than it was for us. That we can park on Danbury, but they cannot. Or not on Danbury, but on Greenville. Is that
So
still?
initially, our concern was the construction traffic as well as construction workers parking on Greenvale and kind of blocking the roadway. And that was our initial kind of conversation that we had. And we've had further conversations with residents. Basically, they want certain hours, obviously. People have block parties, people have had football parties. I've heard this all OSU parties, so they want guests to come over, so they don't want, restrictions on parking on that. So basically, on the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, y'all can park whenever you want. After 7, is it 7, 6?
6.
You can park, after you come home. So, but there is restriction after talking it through this. There is restrictions for everybody between 7 and 6.
When did you talk about those?
When did I talk about it?
Yeah, because I just talked to you. What, a
Yeah,
week
I mean,
ago?
after we've had a conversation, that those signs have changed 3 times. now.
3 times.
All right. And is there someplace, or could you share with me how Perry benefits from all of this and how much financially you guys are looking to make in taxes from this? I mean, I know you guys have probably evaluated it.
So it will depend, obviously, on what the actual evaluation and appraisal of the property is. So for each of those properties, it would be the standard same tax calculation that you pay today for those properties, the year after they are built is how the tax law works. So if it's built, let's say the end of 26, then we would see it. Or that's a terrible example. The middle of 26, then we would see it in 27. But I mean, we don't have appraisal values, obviously, for that property if we're looking at,
Until they build.
yeah, until they're built and appraised by the.
Is there any other benefits that,
Typically,
The
the
Perry
township,
Township.
on a typical home in Perry Township, you can go on the auditor's website.
oh, I know.
Yeah,
what
it's that
I'm just
calculation.
saying- What I'm saying, is there any other benefits that you got from having this development come into
We get
Perry
about,
Township?
we get about 20% of the property tax.
Right, I mean, the majority is the schools, obviously,
School
but
gets about 50 some, and then we get
But
about 20.
outside, if your question is outside the taxes, no.
Okay, okay. And then can you clarify the 20 feet? So if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've read it, but I believe that I cannot put something on my property within 7 feet of my property, right?
It's called the right of way.
Right.
And usually, so you got the curbs and then you have the right of way, and the right of way allows, utilities, things like that for the township in order to operate within that. So I'm not sure exactly.
So I'm talking about in the back where my property meets your property, right?
Oh, the easement.
Is the easement.
No, I'm not talking about the easement. What I want to know is you mentioned something about you need to clear out 20 feet around every house, correct? So are you going, what I want to clarify and get to the point is, does that mean that at least these houses will be 20 feet from the property line?
I believe we have a spacing we have to keep in between each house. And
I
then.
think you're asking about setback.
He's talking about setbacks, correct? So is it 12 feet?
12 feet.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 12 or 15.
From the property.
Yeah, and then in between every house, we have to be, or every house has to be, I believe, has to be 12 feet as well.
But
I think it's a total of 20 feet, and there can be a combination of no less than 8. You can have 8 and 12. You can break that 20 feet up, but it can be no less than 8 feet from one property.
no, it's a consistent 20-foot setback.
On both
The
sides.
ones that are adjacent to the existing house, it's 20 feet. In between the houses, the ones that they're building are 12 feet. So
But
Your property is,
My property
I'm
line
looking
and
at your property.
and the wall of the first house, right?
Yeah.
Will be at least 20 feet?
From your property, you have a 20-foot, there's a 20-foot buffer between where your property line and our property line meet. on our side of it, we cannot have any structure any closer than 20 feet. to
Okay,
that.
that answers it, because my path goes right next to the property, right? So I don't wanna be walking next to the house.
No, you won't. Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna be like 3 feet from the house where I could knock on their window.
Yeah.
Because I'm walking down the.
Yeah, we have to provide a,
We have stories about you, Sean, we're gonna have to tell. That's where Julia comes in.
Oh, no, everything will be within. All right, and then the other, you answered what the private street means. And then, what considerations have you guys made with the grading? So as you guys are doing the grading, right, I'm starting to watch my property and your property is getting taller and mine is staying the same, right? And I want to know what considerations you've had on the grading for your neighbors, because I don't want to end up with a pond.
Sure, and we obviously have that creek back there where everything is going to be draining into that creek.
But when the creek comes out of that, right, because everything is going down into it.
That is correct. And I don't, so the engineers, as far as the height of the streets, the heights of where all of our foundations are gonna be, have all been done through the engineering. They've all been approved through the county as far as what those grades are. I can't sit here and tell you exactly what's been done, but I was just out there yesterday. And I mean, at least on your side of our road, I mean, there's really, I haven't seen anything built up on that side there.
Oh, I can show you the pictures because I was just down there a minute ago. And so basically all around my property is probably about, I would say 2 to 3 feet higher than my property now. And I'm concerned that I'm gonna get flooding. And so my question is, what repercussions do I have, or what can I do if this does result in damage to my property?
Well, we would certainly meet you out there, but you certainly have the right to get Franklin County involved. They're the ones that have approved this, and we would meet out there with Franklin County and you if there's something that's been designed with, from our engineer that in any way hinders your property, but nothing from our property should drain onto your property. Nothing.
Not even to the creek?
When we're to the creek, yes,
But what
that's on
about-
our side of the property.
Right, but there's 2 hills, right? You understand, there's 2 hills, right? And the creek will overflow. I mean, I can tell you from experience, the creek overflows.
Sure.
I showed you the bridge that got washed away from the
Yep.
creek.
Sure.
So what happens when the creek goes beyond its bounds and into my yard? Because it wasn't that tall before. Like, you guys have raised stuff up and now it's just hills, and there were trees there that would stop all of it, right? It was total natural. So I wasn't worried about erosion. Now I'm worried about erosion. I'm worried about all of that water ending up in my yard.
has that creek ever flowed?
Yes,
Okay.
every year.
This is
I just
designed.
wanted to, I assumed that did, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is designed for none of our water to go off of our property. It's all to be maintained on our property, go into our storm sewer, go into that creek, go into the pond. Obviously, some of it will drain into the lake, on the far side that is already there. But it's not set up to do that. So if that's the case, when it's all said and done, and we've got everything where we are supposed to be per the approved plans, if there is any issue with that, we will certainly be happy to meet you out there, and certainly happy to get the county involved, because they're the ones that, approve this, and they can sort of help talk through, like, okay, if this is an issue, this is what needs to happen,
So,
but.
I'm sorry, let me ask a question, and I'm certainly not, this is not my field, so apologies. If I'm thinking about it correctly, is it possible, are you saying that maybe some of this dirt has been moved temporarily because things get moved around, and then once it's done, the elevation might be different than what
It
they're
could be.
seeing right now?
It could be. I mean, I was out there yesterday and I didn't notice, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they're moving dirt, but as far as what it is, and we still have a fair amount of trees along this whole edge that, and yes, where they built it up is where the sewer system is over by the big lake.
No, I'm talking where the driveway is.
Oh, okay.
Where the pretty big, cement things
Yep.
are in my yard, in
Yep.
your yard, but.
But, yeah, that's all been designed so that that's a culvert that's been set up to be at the low point of the creek, so that obviously the water flows in. And then, you've got the pipe and gravel over top of it, so, there definitely is.
But it would be
that's all-
Franklin, not Perry Township, that I would call if my yard gets flooded, and do I have any recourse? Have you ever had this situation happen? Because I feel like I'm just gonna be SOL.
Well, I don't think that's the case. You always have someone to call and certainly, I don't know, I can't.
But whether
speak for- It would
they might
typically be
just say
Franklin
sorry.
County. It would typically
You can
be
obviously
Franklin,
call.
All right.
I mean, we
Right.
can get Franklin County involved.
And we can talk more, because again, that's a hypothetical, I don't know.
I understand, but those are all good questions, so.
And then, do you have anything that lays out the timelines? Because I am really confused. Like, I feel like this started earlier than 2022. I remember coming to a meeting, right? And then it's like, and then it stopped, and then they bulldozed the yard next to me, right? Like, they're behind me. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, what did I miss? Like, did I miss?
I'm sorry,
the
go ahead.
communication?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it started back in 22,
I want to say it's like.
maybe.
It's not originally 21.
So what happened was,
It was 20, it was
There-
before the pandemic.
so to give you the Cliff Notes version, there was a developer out of South Carolina. That ended up, there was some legal stuff that went from one developer to another developer, but from the township standpoint, we approved the PUD text. That was approved. We approved the plan.
When though? Can you tell me?
I can get you the
Because I'm
dates.
just trying to figure out how I missed all of this.
I
And
wanna,
like how I didn't have any idea that this was happening and,
yeah,
How
and the
about we
plans have changed so many
so,
times.
so you have
Like,
to.
every time I pull a plan, it's like, that's not the right plan. There's a new.
Right, so you have to, so our role was the zoning, okay? And then after we approved the zoning to say, then it goes to the county for what Brandon was saying, like all the utilities, the stormwater. I mean, there was a lot of approvals that needed to happen. Also, property line, like, there was issues in terms of, making sure that they were matching the Franklin County. So there was a whole slew of things that needed to be happened that were not in our court. And then, obviously you get approvals, you get things like that. And then like we were talking about, probably didn't do the best job of explaining like, when is this happening and all of that. It's been a long process to go through this. So, I don't know, Michelle.
No, I
if
was
you
gonna
have
say, I
anything
think
to add.
initially it started in, or at least it was approved in 21. And then something changed, and I'm sorry, I'm
I know.
not making
I-
the
I'm
details.
aware. Now,
Something
because of
changed
the-
and it modified to 22.
It was Franklin County.
Yes,
And on the sanitary side, they were using a force main that they didn't meet the requirements and the previous developer kept changing the plans to exceed what it was originally designed to do.
and thank you. That's what I meant. He just said it a little better. So I will say that, certainly, and I know Chet has mentioned this and we've all talked about this, our preference would have been that before the digging started this year, we would have had the opportunity to meet with all of you folks and with Bob Webb to kind of talk through, here's what to expect, here's what's happening. There frankly, from my personal perspective, is not a great answer as to why we weren't able to do that. Frankly, we were caught unaware as well that things were starting.
Is
So
that what?
so
That's the specific, we're looking for a specific answer. No offense that.
and I'm not trying
Do
to
the
call
best job or
anything,
whatever.
that can smack me later, but the reality is that for whatever reason, the communication that normally we would have preferred if a big project like this was happening in the township, it didn't get started. Now, we certainly knew that all of this was approved going back to the time that we were just talking about in
Was it
21,
approved at that
22.
meeting?
In
So-
22,
Yeah, was it approved at that meeting we were all at?
So,
So we're trying to figure out where it was
Yes.
approved at.
It was all approved
Yeah.
before.
Okay.
I mean,
before-
nothing-
It was approved on this level before Franklin County.
Economic development.
and
So,
frankly, to your point, we've all gone through an awful lot in the time frame since that was approved and then it went silent. So,
just to give you a little more context to this conversation started all the way back in 2008.
I knew it.
And the only reason that
But not
is
approval.
because at that point in time, this development was going to be in the city of Columbus, and we were going to have no say whatsoever what was going on. At the same time, we were negotiating an agreement with the city of Columbus to bring certain parcels back into the township. We were basically trying to deal with sewer, water, double taxation, the whole bit. And so this particular thing was held up at the planning commission. because those negotiations were going on. So these conversations about, hey, we want to do a development, we want to do it maybe there, we want to do it maybe over some other place on the property. This is kind of what it looks like. It was very conceptual in nature at that point in time, but the attorneys did get involved. They did go to the Franklin County Planning Commission. Huh?
Aren't you on that?
It's the one I shared, yes. So we won't go into much detail, but it was held up at that point in time. And so when all those negotiations were going on, and the folks on the planning commission and the townships all got together and said, hold on, let's let this all kind of play out and we'll deal with the issue when it gets played out. And so, yes, it was before the pandemic that these conversations started. But the approval, once all that got played out, and this property could get water sewer services and remain in the township and be zoned by the township, that's when the process kind of started back in 21 and 22 and blah, blah, blah. So
September 23rd of 2021 was the text amendment hearing. So,
okay, that's why you kind of remember way back prior to the pandemic, conversations were being had conceptually about what this could be, what kind of development it might be, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it was 2019. I spoke representing the entire neighborhood downtown at that planning commission.
Yeah.
That was 2019, I believe.
Well, and
Well,
I think that's what
again,
we're
the
talking about.
conversation started in 18.
Yeah.
Our negotiations with Columbus wrapped up in 19. A lot was going on between the end of 18 and through 19. And so a lot of things had occurred, but that's why maybe you have a memory of that. I have that memory too, but really about when things kind of got solidified about, okay, now let's put things, pen to paper. Let's go to the township because it's going to remain in the township and we're going to get city services. So, but now we got to get zoning approval. And that's what Andy and Michelle are talking about. Okay, that process started back in 21. And so I know this has been a long process. I mean, we're actually talking about 7 years. And normally a project would not take 7 years to do, okay? There was litigation and we don't want to know about that if that litigation's not with us. You know, that all kind of held things up too. So again, yes, you know, things kind of went different directions on this project. The one thing that I want to say that I apologize for is that we normally would have been ahead of the 8 ball here and we would have been able to have these conversations with you before dirt was turned. It didn't happen. And I can't change, I was always told by a good friend, I can't change what happened yesterday. I can only change what happens today and tomorrow. So, which is why we're having the meeting tonight, which is why I walked the street, which is why Michelle answers a ton of questions, why John Petrozzi, our administrator, answers a bunch of questions. That's why we're out there trying to at least get ahead
At least
a little bit
remedy
further.
what we would have liked to have done to begin with.
So I will tell you just a little bit more feedback. This week I got caught off guard too, because before you had handed these out, it went up on the Civic Association website and I hadn't been on it yet. So my neighbors all know that I'm very concerned about this and I start getting texts that says,
Well, so.
and I'm like, how do I not check? You said you were gonna call me, like when is this meeting? How do I, like, are they trying to?
So
have
Sean,
it not-
let me own that for a moment.
That's why you got something on your door.
There's
I had to make sure you got something.
You didn't
here.
You walked by, I saw you.
Hey, you know how long I've been out on that street? 4 hours. I gotta tell you, I was pretty much done at that time.
So Sean, I mean, I'm the one that posted it
Okay.
in the neighborhood group. As soon as we had agreed to the, like had the public meeting format text. The time then to print, the time I also sent, because I don't have your cell phone number anymore. I had Tori's cell phone number, so I
And
sent her a screenshot of here's what's going out. So, we all have day jobs that we have to do too. So sometimes timing alignment
It
isn't
just
perfect.
it felt like we saw Chet walking the neighborhood, right? And then all of a sudden someone sends me, there's a meeting, right? And I'm thinking, they're blackballing me from coming, like,
No.
and then 2 days later, this shows up. So I'm
No,
like,
this
okay.
is, here's something I can get off my to-do list for the day. I'm gonna go ahead and post it. And it just hadn't made the rounds for all of the other communication
Okay.
paths at the same time.
I
So
appreciate that.
that's just simply us trying to get the information out in every way.
We're just not here 24/7.
No,
To
I
be
get
honest
it.
with you, I'm 62 years old and I don't walk as well as I used to, going door to door. I even passed his house and I said, forget it, I'll just call
And
it.
all of our neighbors asking like, well, what was he
Well,
talking
and
about?
Sean, let me tell you the reverse of
Same
that.
stuff I was talking to you about at your house,
So
so.
let me tell you the reverse of that is when I haven't gotten it out onto the Facebook
Yeah,
group first.
please win.
And it's sent out in an e-blast, then it's somehow we're trying to keep it, so we just put it out as soon as we can.
But I mean, in all seriousness, if
Can I-
I would have known about this 3 years ago, I'd have sold my house. I totally would have sold my house and now I'm stuck.
And I don't care how much those houses are worth.
Yes, you're gonna have my
That's our
taxes
work.
to go up.
Okay, I know you're
again.
saying, oh, they're this and that. And from 7:40 or 6:45 in the morning until, I don't know, when does it end? It just seems like it goes on.
They're usually about, they
About
end about,
six.
yeah,
You know, I prefer to go to 6.
Cause I usually go down to talk to Bob.
It is, and I would like to, I've recorded it and I would like to bring it to you at 6:45 in the morning and put it on your bedroom window and see how you would like it. It is.
So, again, it's one of those. And we're sorry, we will make that phone call. And I will tell you, they're sort of taking the brunt of this. We build all over this city, okay? We just finished one in Blacklick Township. We just had one in Jerome Township. We've done stuff in New Albany. We passed zoning, we're off and running. There's none of this. You have a group of people here. I've never had a meeting like this in my 30 years of doing this, where after the zoning is approved and we're approved to go, we get everything approved through the county, the city, all the stuff we need. We're moving on because the zoning meetings are where, the discussions and stuff happen. So them doing this for the residents, I think is a pretty unbelievable thing with what you have here because they want to do it because they want to be good, they want to take care of their residents, but and so if I would have known they wanted this, we would have said, hey, we're starting in 3 weeks or whatever it would have been. I've never had to do that in my career. And for a time working in Perry Township and with these folks, that's what it is. If we ever do one again, we'll know like, hey, before we start, we're gonna have an informational meeting,
Well,
so.
it wasn't also too, because there was kind of Franklin, Perry, Columbus, everybody had their own finger in it and not everybody was aligned because supposedly Columbus notified me.
I don't know why they would have,
Well,
but yeah, I don't know, but yeah, but
They
as far as the
told me that
township
they were supposed
goes.
to notify me and they told you like, no, we notified people and you're like, nope, you didn't, that's Perry.
Notify you of what?
Notify you what?
Yeah, or you had told me the other day that when we were talking and you said, the Columbus, there's Columbus and Perry and.
Oh,
Franklin.
initially when we asked,
Right.
we want a pre-con meeting and we
Yeah,
were initially
and they-
told, well, we have a pre-con meeting scheduled with Columbus. That's where it gets confusing because Columbus is water and sewer. And yeah, you can have a conversation with them because that is a service that is part of this project. But the pre-con meeting that we always look for is very much like our road projects. We have a pre-con meeting with Strouser or whoever's doing the project. And then we kind of say, here's what you need to look out for as you're doing this project. Here's how we're going to communicate. This is what we're going to put out. This is what you're asked you to put out. This is when we're going to put it out. So it's coordination of it. So I have Nathan Ralph in the back. I'm gonna out him here a little bit. So he has a quick question about the creek between Greenvale and Brookdown. And bringing up that issue about how that empties into the pond or anything. Can you?
If I may, real quick, we have a significant number of discharging septic systems, especially on the north side there that go to that creek that goes into the ponds, I'm understanding. So I'm Nathan Ralph, I'm with the health department. Yes, that. Oh, so I was out there a few weeks ago and there had been machinery that had
I'm sorry, folks, we want to make sure we can hear.
traversing the creek bottom and it was kind of impounded, okay? I was out there yesterday, and I saw the structure that she just showed me the picture of. The concern I have, I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, is that thing is going to continue to be free flowing pretty soon. Because yesterday, there was water going into the structure. It was ponding on the opposite side. And from a public health standpoint, because we have treated effluent going into that creek, anytime it's impounded, it can start to get kind of yucky because there's still bacteria in there. So I just want to make sure that somebody at some point talks to it. Excuse me, is it Safco is the construction company, correct?
That is correct.
Just to make sure that everything is being done to ensure that that creek is free flowing. So that was the entire thing that I.
So that's gonna back up all the way to Greenville and Danbury.
So I can.
I don't know about that, but no, 100%. I mean, that creek, when we first went down there, I mean, obviously over years of just things falling and
Sure.
it wasn't a great free clear running creek as it
It's
was.
a drainage pattern. I
Right,
exactly.
Right. And there is actually part of that creek gets rerouted, so it runs more efficiently.
Today.
Okay, so that part of it, and that's part of the approved plan that we got through with Franklin County, as far as the storm.
Franklin County, but it's not my agency. It's.
We understand. Economic development,
Right.
got
Just rerouted the trench today.
Right, so, and yeah, so that
So that's
creek,
why it was.
part of it definitely gets done, and then, by all means, we want it clean and free flowing and looking
Sure.
beautiful for any of the folks that we're gonna have living there as well, so absolutely, I mean, and certainly if at any point anyone sees anything that is a backup, and when everyone leaves here tonight, I have no problem giving my cell phone, I'm available, if I'm not asleep, I will answer my phone. But again, from mud on the street to, God forbid, something happened with drainage and water backup, I'm available, and I'm happy to stop out and have meetings.
That works for me. That's all I had for the group. So
Okay,
thank you for your.
thank
time.
you. Sorry, took so long to get this.
That has been blocked, with them moving dirt and everything else where debris, where it was completely blocked between their property. and
Is it
mine.
blocked now?
As of yesterday, I think they finally cleared it, but
Okay.
we dodged a bullet that it hasn't rained.
Because it hasn't rained for a long
You
time.
know, we had some, and again, we're on septic and when there is precipitation, it's a fast, it moves a lot of water.
Like I-
You know, it moves.
Right.
it
I
moves a
showed
lot.
you guys
I know.
the bridge built there. It took the bridge out and this was it was a pretty sturdy bridge.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
if it gets blocked, we need to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan, appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Now that you've inconvenienced the whole neighborhood,
I'm sorry?
I said, now that you've inconvenienced the whole neighborhood, what's your envision for the future? When do you plan to have this completely done?
Well, as I mentioned, when we first started, we're hoping to build all the homes in the next 3 years. I can't predict what the market's gonna do. I can't predict, if we're going to have, we could build it all in a year if we had 22 customers that
What
walked
are
in
your
our
lot
door.
sizes down there?
They're all different. They're all different and
Which is
unique.
the largest?
I couldn't, I don't, I have the map here, but I couldn't tell you exactly. They're all very unique, differently shaped sizes.
What sizes are your trucks? Are they as large as Safco's?
So you will have, when we're building homes, there'll be dump trucks that will be hauling dirt out. There'll be dump trucks that will be bringing gravel in. There'll be, the biggest, longest truck that'll come in will be an excavator. That will be the one digging the basements for the folks. That'll be the longest, tallest truck.
Are
Other
they
than that, there'll be
tandem trucks?
concrete, I'm sorry.
Are you gonna have tandem trailers?
There'll be, it's sort of a semi for the, our excavator has his big, what they call a track hoe. And it's on a, what I'll call sort of a semi trailer.
And one
This
was
isn't covered.
the other day, clank, 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 all the way up the street. I thought we were being under siege.
Oh, yeah, it shakes the house.
Now, when it's all said and done, and you've got your private property down there, nice and beautiful, gated. You're gonna rent all the streets to get out to 161. Who's gonna repair Greenville, Danbury?
That'll be
So-
something we'll work with
Yeah.
the county.
So that's a township issue.
Yep.
And what we do on these projects is we do an inventory of the street as it is before this project started. Okay, so we basically film that street, literally. So we know exactly the way it was, and that was our baseline. So they're bonded and insured. And if there is damage to that street, we will work with them to repair that damage. Okay? But that is our street. That is a public roadway. We are responsible. We don't own it. The county commissioners own it. But we are responsible as a township to repair and replace that street. Whether it has been damaged as a result of construction or it's just because of old age. Okay? So either way, we will be working with them to ensure that the street is put back the way it was. Now, I'm not going to do anything with that. We're not going to do anything with that street until construction is complete.
Makes sense.
Okay? If there's a pothole,
Well, barring some I'm sorry.
right,
maybe
some,
that's where you
some
were going.
damage. So if there's a pothole or something, some major damage, we're gonna run down there, we're gonna repair that. We're gonna patch it, okay? Don't anticipate that, but it could happen, okay? But I'm gonna wait for a year and then put a new street in only for them to run a bunch of trucks over it again, so we have another new street,
And we're
so.
paying for that too. Okay, so.
No, I'm sorry, let us be clear there. So as Chet mentioned, you know, we know what the street looked like before the construction started. If there's damage that's specifically associated with the construction, then we would work with Bob Webb to attempt to solve for that. That's separate from standard repairs that are paid for with your tax dollars.
Can I have your card for when your trucks start to move my rocks?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can promise you it'd certainly never be done intentionally, and if it happened,
I
it'd be
know.
an accident, we would certainly be happy to address that.
You did a fabulous
You
job.
have-
You really did.
They do, and all of our guys do. And again, I'm not gonna, I can't sit up here and tell you there aren't good. Again, every truck, every vehicle is a street legal. We're not driving anything that is overweight, that is illegal. They're street legal vehicles coming in and they're weighted appropriately. But if someone does run over your yard, cuts the corner too close,
I'm concerned about
Please.
clay tile underneath, then we've got a flood.
The clay tile,
Clay tile.
the clay tile is our responsibility as well,
Oh,
okay?
you're getting screwed again.
Huh?
You're getting screwed again.
well, that's not the case.
I wouldn't-
Again,
I wouldn't
we're
say
here
that
to
that's
take care of our stuff. And again, you will have I will give you my cell phone number. You can call me directly. And again, if there is, one of our guys has unfortunately run into someone's yard, hit a rock, something like that, call me and we will address it as fast as we can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Quick question. I'm new to the party. I've only been here for 2 years, so hi. Why on earth are you using our roads? Why didn't you put in your own roads? Especially if you're thinking, oh, we'll gate this, so you can't come hang out with us if you're gonna use our road. I'm honestly curious. Why do you not have your own?
Well, they're all of our roads.
No. Why don't you have your own entrance and everything? Why is this happening? Like, why can't you go in the golf course? Yeah, why couldn't you? There's so much land. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just really curious. I'm frustrated. It's been really loud. It's not been a good time for us. And I'm just curious, like, where was the decision? At what point was the decision made that you guys were gonna be using the existing roads versus, say, putting in a new road to connect yourselves to 161?
Yeah, it just made perfect sense that that's where the property is and there's a road already there. And that's how the design was initially done. That's where the road is and the property that we bought and it just
I know.
made the most sense.
It feels bad neighbory to me that you came in with, it's a private road. And to me, that just felt very combative. And so we were just all curious, maybe why. I don't know, it just.
So,
we're curious.
so I will tell you, all the projects that we have in Perry Township, they all use township public roadways to get there. This is not unique. They're using a public roadway that taxpayers pay for, okay? And when I say taxpayers, and not only you all pay for it, but others have paid for it before, so we get gas tax expense money to pay for it, and that comes from others. But I mean, my point is that all these projects use existing public roadways to get there. No one, in all my experience, and Andy has more experience than I, in all our projects, no one has said, we're gonna build a new road just to get to our place so we don't have to go on the township roadway.
I guess I'm not being made very clear. You're doubling the amount of houses in our neighborhood, and I just feel like a lot of times when that happens, we maybe widen a road or put in sidewalks or perhaps curbs or turn lane. I think I live on Danbury and I'm really concerned that once all these houses are here and people are living here with doubling the amount of homes that are now utilizing our streets, getting in and out, it could become fairly difficult first thing in the morning and in the evening, just because I feel like that's been an afterthought that's kind of feels like perhaps we'll deal with that once this is all done. And
Like, are you asking for like a traffic light at the?
no, God, no, not even like that. It's just more, I don't know. I feel like residents were an afterthought, I think is my case.
I'll follow up with that.
I need to just follow up with this because I spoke about this back in 2019. So it's water under the bridge.
Right.
We can't go there,
Right,
okay? They're building, it's done.
Yeah.
But I'll say the same thing I said in 2019. With every project that I've ever seen in all of America, the first thing you look at is pedestrian safety. And our three streets have no connectivity. So our three streets, I explained this to everyone downtown, that our streets are used for more than just cars. It's pushing little kids around in buggies, walking dogs. From morning till night, you'll see this and you can witness this. It is more than just a street. So pedestrian safety has always been on my little tune. Try to get people to listen to me before someone gets hurt. Now, I appreciate putting the pedestrian signs up. That's great, Jeff. I appreciate the effort. But quite frankly, unless that says that everyone is going to receive free property taxes, I don't think anyone's really going to read those signs that much to slow their vehicles down. And this was before the expansion of the country club. Being the separate streets that we are, you cannot slow down those FedEx, UPS trucks for anything.
Amazon.
And throw in a couple teenage drivers and you got a real problem on your hands. Now, we don't have a dedicated walking lane like some neighborhoods have. We don't have curbs to keep the traffic off of our property. And I know we are never going to have curbs. I know we're never going to have city sewer, and I know we're never going to have storm sewers. We got open ditches. So all I ask is, and I'm just telling you, people, I wish you would consider it. 1, maybe 2, immediate speed bumps is going to slow the traffic down and get people to think twice about things before they run over a little kid.
Would you guys consider speed bumps?
Let me ask you, of the people that are here tonight, how many people would want speed bumps? And I want you to look around, and tell me, is that a majority?
oh, I'll put my other neighbor up. Wait.
Do you want me to bring in a petition?
Well, so Sean, I'm gonna jump in here because we have a lot of conversations about traffic across Perry Township.
Yeah.
And in Brookside on both sides. That's not a new topic, but always a hot topic. And it's the same kind of, percent when we talk about traffic calming on the other side, on McVeigh too, for the same reasons. We don't have curbs, we don't have sidewalks, Now, some folks have opted into the program that we offer in terms of filling in the culverts for drainage where that's possible. That's something that we've sent out and we've posted and we've e-blasted about the front things. That is an option where we do the labor and,
Because we have drainage issues now because they're filled.
so Okay, so let's talk about it. I mean, let's,
Fill it.
at the front, at your road?
Yeah, I'm trying to get you guys to maybe come out later, but
So, I mean, I know there are some, and I don't know about yours, Sean, but I know that there are certain properties where that's not possible, but I know
They
there's a
did
lot of
their own.
properties that there are, because we've done it, I did it at my house. So we paid for the materials and the road department folks do the labor. So anyway, I don't mean to go off on that tangent, that's another topic that we can work on. But you may have seen recently that Brookside, we worked with Brookside Civic Association to put out a survey talking about traffic calming. It was also a lot about McVeigh because of the school and the amount of traffic and everything there. But we continue to see, and I'm speaking as a neighbor and retired president, as I know you are from the Civic Association. We continue to see a very broken up kind of all in on traffic calming and lots of people all out.
Yeah,
And
you can't win.
it's difficult. So for we've talked to a number of people, we've met with City of Worthington and talked to them about their traffic calming and those types of things, but with every option, there's also a negative. So then you get the sound of the cars going over bumps, or you get the people that are not really slowing down, they're just going over them faster. I mean, anyway, I don't mean to make this a meeting about traffic calming, but I'll tell you that continues to be an issue. And we get it. We just I don't know that we have the answer that's gonna satisfy everybody.
Who ultimately makes the decision? Is it the board or is it the town voting on it? Or a traffic
The
calming
town?
situation?
So for the township, and keep me honest here, if it would depend on a number of factors. I mean, we've tried to make sure that folks are willingly, like, we're not pushing something down somebody's throat, right? That they don't want, that the majority of people don't want. So that's one piece, but there's also a very real cost factor. And I don't mean a speed bump in and of itself, like that's not as expensive as holistically, curbing or sidewalks or things like that. That's a bigger issue. So it would really depend. I mean, and that kind of thing, I believe, would require a vote if people were going to incur an additional cost for taxes.
You realize
We're getting a
that,
bit off topic here.
We are.
So let's
So-
kind of keep it focused for these folks here so we can send them along their way when we're done here. Any more questions for the web folks here?
It's cards, pass out your cards if you can.
yes, you're gonna get his card. Everyone's gonna get.
Is there gonna be something updated on Webb's website about the development? Because I looked on Webb's website and there was nothing about Brookside Cottages at all.
There will be.
There will be.
Absolutely. It'll have its own little, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. And we get it out there too soon before we know exactly what our pricing is gonna be. So our website's more geared for folks that are looking to buy a house, and we're getting close, but we're not quite ready to open it up for sales at this point.
Gotcha. And this may not be a question that you can answer or not,
No.
but I heard that and there was a lot of rumors. I heard that in order to purchase a house there, you had to be a member of Brookside Golf Club. Is that correct?
So that was originally, the setup from Brookside. They would only sell the property if, they had to become a social member, not a golf member, but a social member. They have since said that that does not have to be the case.
Okay.
So there may be folks living there that are not Brookside members. That is not, one of the criteria anymore.
How many houses? So you have not sold any houses yet?
No, we're still trying to figure
I
out.
heard there's some houses sold already, or maybe they've
So
chosen
we've
their
had
lots.
deposits from folks that we got, from the previous developer that have held on. And there's 7 of those. Those 7 we're working with. We have not taken any more deposits. We have a list of people that want us to call them when we're ready. But we have not opened it up to anyone other than the folks that have sort of been involved now for like 3 years and they've held on this long. So, but no contracts. We haven't even done any pricing with them yet. Just sort of drawing blueprints at this point. And again, the private street was not to be snooty at all. And in many ways, the private street, our folks are gonna get double dipped. They gotta take care of their street where you guys are never responsible for that coming out of your tax dollars. Yet their tax dollars will pay for all the general streets as well. So it's just, we would rather it be public. We really would. We hate dealing with snow removal because if they're not there at 6 AM, we get phone calls and all those things. We hate that as well. But just the way the project and to get approval, it had to end up being a private street, and that's how it ended up that way.
And I apologize for feeling
Yeah, it's, yeah.
aggressive. I'm sorry. I do, yeah, that was the first thing. Yeah, I read it. I think we can all agree it's our homes and we feel emotional, like not, it's just, it's a lot.
I just think this project, we should be a lesson going forward. I know you guys were following the Ohio zoning rules, which states that you only have to communicate to the people that are 200 feet from where the development is occurring. But when it occurs on a street where you go from 12 houses to now 34, where you're almost tripling the traffic, I think Perry should think about putting in some kind of ordinance that says that if we're gonna triple traffic on a street for a development, we need to get the whole community involved that's gonna be affected by that. That's going forward.
But first of all, we don't do ordinances, we do resolution.
Or resolution.
I will say, that kind of falls in his area, and I'm sure he'll take that under advisement when he works with the zoning officer. About every 1 to 2 years, we start looking at the zoning code to make changes, because we obviously hear things come before the BZA for exceptions and variances, what we call exceptions and variances. And so we kind of say, is the code right? I mean, it's because everybody's coming for this one particular variance. Should we change the code to reflect that? And that's always a point of conversation about how far out. Is it 200? Is it 500? Is it, I know when we had conversations about the church over in Brookside, it was like, well, everybody should get it in the entire neighborhood. And it was like, well, that's kind of a big circle. So, so there's always that question and that conversation that takes place. I understand it. I think we're going to be posting things on our website. If it comes to it, we'll do an e-blast. If it comes to it, we'll do a door hanger. If it comes to it, it just depends on really what we're really talking about, how major of a change here that's going to be occurring. So we recognize your frustration. And so we're gonna, as Chief likes to say, we're gonna over communicate. Okay.
And Sean, and I'm sorry, can I?
Go ahead.
Just a moment, and Sean, then I'll on you. Give me one moment. I'm gonna say something that's not gonna make me very popular here, but, and you all know where I live, so you can come hunt me down. Speaking as a member of this board since my kids were little, and speaking as a former president of the Civic Association, I would also urge folks to, we post our agenda. It's a public meeting. Every meeting is a public meeting. We send those out. We post them on our Facebook page as a township. We have a list of what our agenda is. It is on our website for years, and I'm not saying that you folks were not involved. I'm not calling out anybody here. For years, we have tried to get engagement at our meetings to try to communicate. We will always do our best to try here. But there is a standard public communication of every meeting we have. So I'd urge you to sign up for our e-blasts, look at our website. I try to post things in the Facebook group too, all of that, so that there isn't something that you inadvertently miss.
And you don't have to wait, and I'm sorry, no.
I see.
I'll yield to you. Well, here, what's it? Our trustee meetings happen the first and third Monday of each month.
And
you don't have to wait for a zoning hearing. You don't have to wait for a special meeting for you all. You can come anytime. I mean, you got my cell number. You got his cell number. You don't have his, you're gonna have that. I mean, you know where Michelle is. Point is, you can reach out, okay? We are there, okay? We are your neighbors in a lot of different ways. So don't think that, the opportunity to communicate doesn't exist. It exists in a lot of different ways and times. So, sorry, John.
No, that's okay. Okay, so going back, okay. So can you clarify, or does anybody know what this notification was supposed to be with people within 200 feet of the property? Because I don't know if I received a notification and my name is on their plans. Like that, my name and address is on their plans, like they know me.
I just had it. And I'm just
trying to figure out who would communicate to me, Columbus or you, or is it Bob?
No, you would have gotten something in the mail that said, hey, we're having this project. I was just looking at the list of people that got mailed.
Cause I'm laughing because my name is actually on every plan you guys distribute.
Yeah, any of the surrounding properties probably show
Yeah.
up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name, my name,
Sure.
Mark's name. So I'm like, it's not like you didn't know we were there.
Yeah,
And then
Just
we
had
did,
that.
so my husband actually did go back in quite a few meetings and listen to recordings and there was nothing in there. I understand, and Michelle, I understand, right? Like you can't always expect people to feed you information. If you want to be involved, you got to get involved, right? And stuff like that. But I just am trying to figure out where I missed this.
You went back to the 2021, 2020?
No, he went back and watched several of them
Recent.
within the recent, just to see like, where, have you guys discussed this at all? And we didn't watch the zoning ones because they're recorded, but anyways, I know
I know we talked about it in recent meetings. I don't recall which ones, frankly. But we even had the conversation about if we were doing, the communication about setting up this meeting. Frankly.
yeah, not this.
So,
one, it was
but I will say that as we talked about already, we did not know that the digging was starting
How can we change that?
until, okay, so that's.
But that's something that's typically not, I think how you pointed out, they don't come to a, whether it's New Albany or Dublin or all these other places that are way more restrictive than us that, okay, we're gonna start digging in 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever. Once they got approved for stuff, they're gonna start when it's appropriate for them to start.
So there were a lot of rumors going around. We thought that it was dead. Like honestly, I can almost guarantee most of us thought it was dead and we had heard that it was dead, that it was never going to happen because, and I can't remember, there were a couple different reasons I heard why it wasn't gonna happen. But like, we had no idea. We thought it was actually dead.
We never.
Well, I mean, we
never
can
thought-
speak for what the rumors were, obviously. I mean, because I don't
Right,
know.
right, but I mean.
And so I want to be super clear. I'm not pointing to Bob Webb as saying they did something wrong by starting to dig. I'm just saying that we
No,
wouldn't
I
have
get
been
it.
talking about it in those meetings
I get it.
because we didn't know it was starting. So there wasn't anything for us to
So
do.
as soon as we did, as soon as we heard there was a concern,
That's
we
when we
moved
started talking
really
about
as
it.
quick as we could to schedule a meeting, get these folks in here and do all that. They didn't have to come. They don't have to do any of this stuff. So.
Well, I get it. I get it. I'm just trying to figure out like, what could I have done different?
There's nothing.
So that I could
Can
know
I
this.
interject one thing? I kind of work in a world of facts, but you have said repeatedly that there were rumors that this was dead, and I just asked this question. What did any of you do to verify the rumor? Did anybody call a trustee? Did anybody call Michelle to say, hey, is this project dead or is it not dead?
Would I call like every year and ask?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when
We didn't
those
have the
rumors
information
started, did
to share.
I'm
anybody
gonna
try to
start calling
verify?
Chet and asking you questions.
Well, I guess that's the key. Just verify what you hear.
Well, to be honest with you, Sean. I never, and I didn't hear the rumors. I don't live over in your street. And so I never thought that this was dead. I just knew it was in litigation. As soon as that litigation was over, then something was going to occur. Would we have liked to have a pre-con meeting? Yes, absolutely. And the next time that they build in Prairie Township, Brandon's gonna call and say, hey, let's do a pre-con meeting. We're gonna do an informational meeting. We're gonna do all that. We're different than other communities in the sense that we have an expectation of communication. And that's really what we focused on. But I never thought this project fit. I knew it was kind of this line out there for the attorneys and a few other people to make decisions. And I'm sure they spent a lot of money on attorneys, so it's probably a sore subject for them. But I mean, my point is that it never was dead. Nobody ever came to us and said, hey, we decided, no way, this is just not gonna work. We're all walking away and you can go have the woods kind of thing, so.
Is the sidewalk?
Can I just say something? So I grew up in Worthington. I graduated from Worthington High School when there was only one. I'm really dating myself. We are super excited about this project. And I really believe that at the end of the day, you're going to be proud of what we're going to be amazing. I really think it's going to be the best project.
Oh,
we've ever done.
has he told you, we're on a.
I think
So-
so. Be great neighbors.
I am very emotionally because basically where my husband proposed to me, basically is now a shithole,
Well,
right? Like, it was
not
the most beautiful thing. But my yard is like, it's surrounded by nothing but dirt and gravel until someone buys it. Right? And so it's just like,
It'll
it is
get
very
done.
emotional for me. and, you know, honestly, my husband's not here because he can't control himself. And he honestly can't, he's retired, but he can't stay at home all day now. I mean, literally, it is so distraught for him. You know, and that lower yard was his, like, that's why he bought the property, right? We have almost an acre, right? And we never in our wildest dreams thought that the country club would do this, right? And it's just, it's terrible. We would have moved.
I think it would go a
And
long
if you,
way.
I'll
if it
show you
wasn't
what my
gated.
property looks like.
If it wasn't gated, I think it would go a long way to the community to say, hey, you guys can walk through there, you guys can see everything, we can become residents, we can become familiar with them, they can become familiar with us. It's so hard to become familiar with somebody that has a fence that's right there.
It's called alienation.
Well, I wish I had a fence. I'll trade you.
Well, we can put one in the backyard. Yeah.
You know, we gotta move forward. It's getting late.
Yeah.
Any
Yes.
chance we can get more of these up? They're all down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he already
We
said that.
discussed that. We'll take
He already
care of
said
it.
that. He's gonna take care of that. And hopefully it doesn't rain again and tear him down, so.
It wasn't rain that took those down.
No, it looks pretty cut and dry.
That's called juvenile.
Oh, okay, well,
Thanks for the
can't deal with that.
President. I
Well,
appreciate it.
the sergeant will take care of that, okay? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I feel like we've all
You know, I'll take care of you.
kind of been taking a meeting from us today. I want to shout out for Michelle here, because when I did look for facts, I called her and she got me facts, and she's been really awesome. And I just feel like she's kind of taken a lot of blame tonight for some reason, but when I did go to look for facts, she found them for me. So I just kind of want to mention that from my perspective, when I have looked for things, you have answered them once you found out. So I just wanted to be somewhat positive.
No, and I will say the same, right? I mean, I texted Chet, he came almost to my house immediately. You have been out and talked to me. I have talked to Bob a number of times. I feel like I'm buddies with Bob now. Cause he just lets me vent and we laugh together, but, I do appreciate you being responsive, but it just doesn't change it.
No, you're gonna have to live with it just like the rest of us. Are we done?
Would you like unfortunately, I do not have, we got rid of paper cards. My card is a QR code, or if you got a pen and paper, I'm happy to give you my name. and
I don't know if you want that on our website or not, but we can put the QR code up there.
Yeah.
One right up there.
All right, you want me to write it here?
Why not?
Why not?
That's a big business card.
Yeah.
It's pretty under.
But yeah, that's fine for your. It was, I know, it's probably because, you know. They out there.
There you go. You too, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Did everybody sign in if you haven't?
I did.
You do that. And please get his card. If you don't have his contact information, please get it.
Yeah, or I give you my phone number right now if you want to write it down. It's 614. No.
I'm checking. Thank you so much. Thank you.
207
I'm sure-
1574. Yes, we did. And my name is Brandon.
How you doing?
Last name is L-I. B-E-L-L-I.
Or call the main line.
Yes. So,
Yeah. Just, Michelle. Hey, I just have to close out the meeting, so I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna, move to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
This for you, sign,
Vote,
yes.
Chet,
Well, I'm sorry.
vote to adjourn.
Yeah. Yes.